It's back. Yep, the 130's back in again. If you can remember, a few weeks ago I did an LT230 conversion to a 1.2 transfer case. The other day, a customer rings me up and says it's jumping out of gear, which is quite odd. So we went through the motions and we couldn't work it out, so it came in again. And we brought it in the shop after a lot of messing about, and I took off the bottom cover of the transfer case, and while Jim was here he moved the lever backwards and forwards so I could see what was going on, and you could see it wouldn't go into high range. So after a bit of a messing about, I just decided just to turn the prop shaft, and then it just clicked into gear. Well, what could this be? So we went through that for about 5 minutes. We went through all the gears, and then I said, well, wait a minute, I'll go underneath, start up the car, put it into gear in the main gearbox, and then see what happens. And there was no drive at all to the back. So after that, I get onto the telephone with the customer and asked him exactly what happened. Was there any problems with the gearbox? I built this transmission up about 5 years ago, and this is a tricky subject because this is a HS 2.8 in here, and this puts out 277 foot-pounds of torque, which translates to about 380 Newton meters. And the R380 is called an R380 because it puts out its capacity is 380 Newton meters of torque. So I'm in a dilemma now. Is it the gearbox or is it the clutch? So I'm looking at it and I'm trying to fathom it out, and I talked to the customer and he told me what happened. He says, no, the gearbox seemed to be fine. So it could only be one thing or the other. It had to be the input shaft or something associated with the gearbox or the clutch. Now usually I just take these engines out. I take them out and then do the clutch, but in this instance I took the gearbox out just to confirm that everything was nice and tight in the gearbox, which it was. So what it left was what the problem then was, it had to be the clutch, and this is the clutch. What's happened is the centre has torn out the clutch. Now this has got me perplexed, because I don't know why. Is it that the springs are too heavy? Because you see, this is an M&D heavy duty clutch, and it isn't a cheap Chinese one, this one. It is actually a AP Borg & Beck clutch, and this is a Valeo cover. Now the Valeo cover is supposed to have a 25% more clamping rate. And you can see, if you look at the surface of the clutch, there's no burn points, there's nothing. It just looks, it hasn't even got smooth, because it was a problem. The original 300 TDI clutch would slip in this engine, so a heavier duty one was fitted with the 25% heavier clamping pressure. It's not a problem. That seemed to work, and it worked quite well. But what's caused this? I do not know. The bearing and the bushings were good, but what I did find out this morning, when I looked at this is the clutch fork. Now it's common to weld a thick piece of steel across here to prevent this happening. What happens is the pivot ball can push through the clutch, and thus rendering it useless. So the so-called heavy-duty clutches put a piece of plate across. This actually doesn't fit doesn't do much at all, apart from make life a little bit longer. But I'm going to do another video about this. But this is one of my modifications to the clutch fork, and I put a bushing in there, and I guarantee these for life. These things never go wrong. But look at this. The clutch has opened up, the fork has opened up, Now, is that the is the cause of that this, or is this caused that? It's a mystery. I really don't know. The bearing's pretty good. It has got some damage on here. You see that? But that's from here. I really don't know. It's a mystery. So I'm going to have to put another clutch disc in here. But I noticed on M&D's website, instead of having 4 springs in there, see, there's a spring inside a spring. So that's quite heavy. But on the M&D website now, they've got these clutches with 8 springs in, all of different pressures. Now, the idea of this is that the drive shaft in here is connected to the engine via your clutch. If you understand how that works, it's easy. But this is like a little, what's called a cush drive, and it allows the torque of the engine to not be so severe when you change gear. It's just like a big spring. In fact, that's what they are, just little springs. Are these too severe? That's my question. Are these too severe? Now, the size of it, look, I mean, looking at the material, it's just like new. Like I said, the bushing in the flywheel, that's good. So that's not a problem. The input shaft is good. The bearings and everything is tight in the gearbox, so there's nothing loose. This hasn't been floating about anywhere. I don't know what's caused this. I've never seen that before for a long, long time. When we used to put big engines in cars with little tiny clutches in, we used to see that. But you can see actually the surface area on here where it's cracked. It's just shattered up, and it hasn't even broke any of the rivets. Very strange. And the clutches will only go in one way, so if somebody's saying I put the clutch in the wrong way around, then I haven't. It's because I did this. This engine was in a previous Land Rover, and I changed the engine and gearbox to change the clutch to put a heavier one in many years ago because the clutch was slipping. Now this is a 243 millimeter clutch, a 242, 243 millimeter clutch. Over here on the stove that's supposed to be going out, this is the difference. This is 242, and this is a standard clutch at 235. This is in your 110s and your 90s. And you can probably see inside there's no spring inside the spring. There's 2 big heavy springs. And you look at this one's different again. It's got 6 springs in this one, all of different rates. The 242 was fitted to the 130 for some strange reason, but it was the same engine. M&D now do a clutch which is 250, but I'm not sure if it's going to fit in that cover. That might mean it's a new cover. So this is a mystery. I don't know where we're going to go with this, and it's Christmas week this week, and I don't think we're going to get a clutch. So it looks like I've got a visitor for Christmas.